Hey, what's up you guys, it's Connor, and today I'm going to be doing a book review for Challenger Deep by Neal Shusterman. Challenger Deep follows a boy named Caden, and he has just turned 15 at the beginning of the book, and this follows his slow first experience with schizophrenia. And I think one of the main points of this book is that those medical diagnoses, there we go, that's a hard word to say, are kind of fluid, and so people can move in and out of those different types of schizophrenia. So like schizoactive, schizophrenia, bipolar. A lot of people suffer from multiple, or they move from one to another, so it's not like being diagnosed with one is exclusive. For all intents and purposes, I'm gonna say that he just has schizophrenia. This book is actually pretty polarizing, so a lot of people either hate it or a lot of people absolutely love it. I fell on the side that absolutely loved it, and I understand why people would not like this book, and a lot of people don't like it because they find the very beginning confusing. And here's the thing. This book is told in two different worlds, sort of. So it's told in the real world, so Caden is going to high school and he's just experiencing his life regularly, and then it also follows him in this ship environment. So he's on a ship and he's on his way to Challenger Deep, which is the deepest point of the Marianas Trench. I don't know how to say that. The ship scenes are not real life, they're just happening inside of Caden's head, and so people get really confused when they have those scenes and they don't really understand what's going on. And that's kind of on purpose, to be honest, is that neither does the main character, and he's the narrator of the story, and so he's a little bit of an unreliable narrator because he's filtering things that he's saying, but he's also not really understanding what's happening to him. So when he's in these ship things, it is really confusing because he has no idea what is actually happening, because he doesn't understand why he would be on a ship in the first place. And then you can see in the real world storyline that he is slowly becoming more paranoid and suffering from symptoms of schizophrenia. At some point, the two storylines start to intersect, and so that's when everything starts to make sense a little bit. So you have to make it pretty far into the book for the two storylines to start interacting, and so you kind of start to understand what is actually happening with them, because he takes things from his real life and they become the seeds of what is happening in his schizophrenia ship world. So you just have to get into the deepest part of the story to really get and grasp everything that's actually happening to him, and how scary and horrifying having schizophrenia is and not knowing what is actually happening. So Neal Shusterman did a lot of research before starting this book. His son suffers from schizophrenia, or schizoactive, or something, one of those things, or all of those things. So he has first-hand experience with this disease, and so he has the experience as a parent dealing with a child who's suffering from these types of things. And so you can see people's reactions to Brendan as he was starting to suffer from this disease, and so they're in this book. And I think that that's one of the main pros that I have for this book, is that it is done really realistically, and that you really understand how people react to this disease and how it affects the people that have it, seeing those people react to them that way. So you can see how family members react, you can see how his friends react. Some friends can deal with it, some friends cannot deal with it, and so you get all of these different type of reactions to this disease, and it brings attention to those important aspects of people that suffer from schizophrenia, how they interact with the people around them and the world around them. So I think that that's a really good aspect of this book. Also, the parents thing, it has this line in this book that I thought was just perfect, because a lot of parents do end up having a hard time doing this, and a lot of parents will deny that something is wrong with their child, or will suspect but won't do anything about it. And I think that this book brings attention to that, and that you need to act on your suspicions of mental illness and stuff like that. You need to talk to your children, or make sure that they can like go and see someone or get help or something. You don't want to just deny it and like sweep it under the rug. And that's one of the things that I think that they say in the book, is that children that die are like glorified, but children that have mental illness are just swept under the rug. So this book brings attention to the importance of making sure that these children are not just swept under the rug, and that they are taken care of and everything like that. And I think that one of the lines that I really liked in the book was, "Forget solar energy. If you could harness denial, it would power the world for generations," or something like that. And I think that's really true. I think a lot of people deny that things are happening, and they just kind of push them away when they need to just confront them and deal with it. Also, inside of the book are drawings from his son while his son was suffering from his first episode of schizophrenia. I don't know the word for when someone is suffering from schizophrenia really badly, as opposed to when they're not suffering from it so bad and they have the right medication mixture and everything like that. So the first time that his son ended up having to be hospitalized because of schizophrenia, and so I thought that was a really cool thing that was done, because the drawings are actually done by someone that has schizophrenia, and he was really young when he first started suffering from it. So those are really cool aspects of the book. Let me find one of the pictures. So like, this is one of the pictures that is in the book, so you can see that sometimes they don't really make a whole lot of sense and you have to just kind of interpret them as best as you can, but it was really cool. Really liked that. Another thing I liked about the story are the secondary characters. I really liked how they interacted. I really liked a lot of them. At some point you meet a character named Hal, and his outlook on life is so funny. I was laughing anytime he talked, and the way that he talks is that he jumps. He has a very like jumpy brain, and so he'll think of one thing and then I'll make him think of another thing, and that'll make him think of another thing, and then he just says the fourth thing that he thinks of. So it's like really funny to see how that all works, and I thought that that was really well done, because I know people like that. So just regular people, not people that have schizophrenia or anything. So it was really funny to see that. So I just really like the secondary characters, and I think that they support each other really well in terms of Caden and the people around him. So I think that that was really well done. I really love that about the story. The thing that I love the most about the book, I am not saying anything negative because I couldn't really think of anything negative. I was debating what to give this book and I couldn't think of anything negative. But the thing I love the most about the book was that the POV kind of changes, and so the way that it's written, it can be written as I or you or we, and they're all written in Caden's perspective, and that kind of follows his process through suffering from schizophrenia. So at the beginning he's I, and he's going through everything, and as schizophrenic people, I guess, will sometimes feel out of body, so they will experience things that are outside of themselves, and so he's looking at himself from outside and is saying you are doing these things and you are doing these things, and he's talking about himself in the second person. So I thought that was really well done, because it made me feel like he was not even a part of himself, and that was one of the aims of the book. I think is that you feel with him at the very beginning, and then you feel a little bit a part of him when he starts to suffer from things and he starts to talk about himself in the second person. And then you also experience how hard it is during the novel. So certain parts of the novel are harder to read than others, and I think that that was done on purpose. So at some point he starts to backslide a little bit with the disease, and so those parts became harder for me to read, which was like really strange. I don't know if that was done on purpose. I think it was, but it was harder for me to read and it was harder for him to experience. So I think that that was done extremely well. Like, I loved that about the book. I thought that was so well done. Oh my gosh. So if you guys couldn't tell, I ended up giving this book 5 stars. I really recommend it. It's a YA book, although it doesn't really have that romancy YA thing going on. So I really recommend it for everyone, adults, children, young adult readers as well. I just think that everyone should read this book because it does a really good job with dealing with schizophrenia and making you learn a little bit more about it. And I think this novel definitely doesn't romanticize it at all. I think it's a very real depiction, and I think that the way that the book ends is also very realistic. So I think that this book is just incredible. I loved it, and I hope that you guys will check it out because it is so amazing. I'll leave links down in the description for this interview that I watched with Neal Shusterman, his son, and a reporter who's asking him questions about the book, because I thought that that enlightened a lot about the book, how he wrote the book in 2 different parts. So he wrote the real life section by itself, and then he wrote the ship section by itself, and then kind of mixed the 2 together, and that's how the book ended up being formed, and some other stuff. And I'll also link down his speech that he made when he won an award last year for this book, some young adult award, because he definitely speaks from the heart, and so I think that that's really important to watch as well. So I'll leave both of those down in the description. You can check those out. But other than that, I'm gonna go. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and comment down below if you're gonna check out Challenger Deep, or if you have read it, let me know what your thoughts were, because I would love to hear them, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.